Yep, let's do it. Welcome back, everybody. It is the Awesemo.com NHL DFS Strategy Show. We have a Big Ten gamer to discuss for tonight, and I'm back with my buddy Slim Cliffy, back since maybe the first or second day of the season that we've done a show together. How are things since, Cliffy? I know we've talked a bunch offline, but not on camera.
Yeah, I mean, things have been good. I had a tough start to the season, maybe the first 3 or 4 weeks, but the last month has really turned around. I've started focusing more. I've started playing 20 maxes less and started focusing like 2 or 3 lineups in higher, 2 and 3 max, the $20 3 max or the $40 or whatever. Sometimes I'll sneak in the 121 or something like that. But I found, like, even I looked at my data from the last couple of years, and I just found that I was doing better on 1 to 3 max in 1 to 3 max contests than I was doing in 20 max. So it just made sense for me to kind of change up my strategy, and like I'm making more money because of it. So like I'm not going to complain about playing fewer lineups, but making a bit more cash than I was earlier.
That's what we're all trying to do, make some money. And like, I mean, that's a good thing that you mentioned, like kind of adjusting your play as you see fit or as you see your results. So like if you have Roto Tracker, if you have another way to track your stuff, I would suggest doing that. And don't always just download your data after a bink, which is what I do. That is bad advice. Your ROI is going to look really good. You want to do it maybe after an okay night or a couple losing nights, and download your data up onto Roto Tracker. But yeah, you got to adjust to still be continuing to make money in this day and age. A lot of good projection sources out there, not only ours, but other sites as well, and ownership, and a lot more game theory. So can't just be slamming the projections every night and hoping to make a bunch of money playing NHL DFS. 10-game slate. There's a bunch of big favorites today. What's your initial thoughts on tonight? That was my first look, was just, man, a lot of huge favorites. I figured we'd have some chalk on a few home teams tonight, but what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of very obvious spots here. I mean, Dallas at home to Columbus is one of them. Carolina, obviously, at home to Ottawa is another one. Florida at home to Buffalo. But those are the kind of slates where I really like playing because, on a slate this big, we'll talk about ownership later. Carolina's top line might still come in at 20% tonight. And then, you maybe add in a 10% Florida top line, and then a 15% Dallas top line. The chalk is going to eat up almost half the field. You know what I mean? Like the 3 or 4 chalky spots. And we know how much variance there is day to day on an NHL basis. I mean, we saw the Seattle Kraken like not score a goal for 6 weeks and then put up 7 goals on the road. You know what I mean? Like that's just kind of the way hockey goes. So it's an interesting spot to fade some of the high price spot, higher ownership spots, especially when you're playing fewer lineups. That's something you just have to do anyway. But these are the slates that I really enjoy because, I do play chalk. I'm not an idiot. If there's a really good spot and good players I like at a good price, I'm going to play them. But I'm not just going to slam in Carolina tonight because they're at home to Ottawa. Like there are other spots, teams on the road, especially that are coming in under owned. And, that's why I like slates like this, is because there are those super obvious spots, but it's pretty easy to get away from at least 1 or 2 of them.
I do play chalk. I'm not an idiot. I like that phrase. I also abide by that. So, there's times and places to play the chalk. For me, it's almost every night, but just depends on what you're pairing them with, I guess.
I mean,
talking about large.
Yeah, we can talk about the math maybe some other point when we don't have 10 games to talk about, but I think chalk is kind of overrated, especially in hockey, where you have so many positions. It's, a different goalie, different defenseman, double defenseman, pair your goalie with your defenseman or don't, one-off goalie. Like there's so many ways you can get different. I think, talking about chalk is a little bit overblown, especially slate this size.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I mean, I try to figure out the possibility that my lineups are going to be duped every day. When I'm building my lineups in Fantasy Cruncher, I export them into an Excel sheet. I'm trying to figure that out. And I mean, the possibility is like, it's there for sure. And you do see some dupes. Some of my lineups end up being duped more on bigger slates because I'm doing a lot of this 3-3 or 4-3-1 cookie cutter lineups. But you just don't want to be doing it too often. And there's ways where you can avoid it, or at least try to limit it, which is what I try to do. So I do agree, especially on a slate like this. Like, you want to factor in ownership. You want to see what the most most popular pairings are going to be, but ultimately you got to hit on 2 stacks, or at least one, big power play stack or something like that. And that's the most important thing. Ownership definitely matters, but it's not like in other sports like NBA, where you're going to get guys that are 60, 70, 80% owned in large field tournaments. That's never going to happen in NHL unless you're talking about a 2-game McDavid slate and he's priced at $8K. But we don't have too many of those. So I see, let's see, 65, 66 people watching right now. Thanks everybody for joining. As Cliffy always asks at the beginning of the shows that he's on with Josh, if you could give us a like, that really helps us out. We've got, DFS, this DFS channel, we've got the Awesemo odds channel and the Awesemo fantasy football channel. If you're still in your league, I am not doing too hot in most of my season long leagues, but I kind of check out on those. But if you're looking to get some fantasy football content, we've got an Awesemo fantasy football channel that you should subscribe to. In addition to this one, like this show, we want to look good for the boss men. Free premium tools for the day. Tonight we've got Thursday night football top plays. I'm just realizing there's NFL on tonight. That means we've got a jam-packed schedule for the rest of the day, which we'll talk about later. Yahoo is the sponsor of this show. They'll have an NFL show coming up later in the day. We've also got NBA player rankings. Those are going to be free for today. And then everyone's favorite NHL tool, the Top Stacks tool, is also free today. If you ever, if you like these free premium tools today, I think you'll really, really enjoy the NHL Top Stacks. I look at it every day. I know Cliffy does. I know a lot of our subscribers do, and it's free for today. So if you've heard us talk about this, you want to check it out, Nightbot will hit you up with some links in the YouTube chat. All right, we've got a promo code as well going on right now. NHL Strategy Show is the promo code, no spaces, all caps. You hear about us talk about all the tools in site, like the Top Stack tool, like the projections, which I maintain, and then the ownership projections, NHL Data Central, whatever it is, you can get behind the paywall at a discounted rate right now with promo code NHL Strategy Show, all caps, one word again, 25% off your first week of not Awesemo NHL, but Awesemo Plus Platinum. So you're getting a discounted rate on everything on the site. If you want to, you can add on Fantasy Cruncher for an additional charge. I would suggest doing so, especially if you play multiple lineups every night. But with this, you'll get access to our premium Discord, the lineup builders, which I use every day, whether I'm on the show or not. And then ownership projections for not only NHL again, but for every single sport. We've got a link in the description below if you guys want to check this out. And then if you just want to play NHL DFS, we've got Awesemo Plus NHL packages for as low as $3.95, less than $4 a week. You can come troll Cliffy and Josh and I in the premium Discord. 10 games, we're going to have to go fairly quickly. Some games we'll spend more time on than others, like this one, the Avs and the Montreal Canadiens. 3.6 implied total for the Avs, 2.8 for the Canadiens. We don't know who's starting for Colorado. They had just a disaster last night. Big loss to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now they got to run it back again with a question mark at goalie. We thought it might be this guy that they called up, I think, from the AHL, Justice Anunen, but might be Johansson on the back-to-back. Could be Kemper. He was a late scratch last night. Not sure what's going on there. But it should be Jake Allen for Montreal. I like things on both sides of this game. I'm assuming you've got at least some interest in limited lineups on both sides here, Cliffy. But I'll let you take this one away.
Yeah, Colorado top line obviously is the one that stands out immediately here. They're coming in, they're expensive. They're a little bit over 24K on DraftKings. Then, if you want to add in Cale Makar for that 4-man power play stack, I don't even know if you can do it, because that's, then you're getting up to 32K plus your goalie plus another stack. It'd be tough. So I do like Colorado won a lot here tonight. Josh and I talked about them yesterday on the show, how good their numbers are, both with and without McKinnon. McKinnon's certainly not going to hurt that line. So I really do like them here. Going into Montreal, like Arturi Lehkonen and Jake Evans typically aren't a bad shutdown line. But Brendan Gallagher's in COVID protocols, the third winger on that line. And Brendan Gallagher's probably the best two-way winger on that team. So I'm not really worried about any matchups here for Colorado. And, Montreal, penalty kill is not very good anyway, like borderline bottom 10 in the league, certainly over the last month. So, Colorado draws the most power plays by far in the NHL. So, they could get 4 or 5 power plays here tonight. So, yeah, absolutely no problem loading in Colorado 1. Obviously, you're going to have to go find your lower owned stacks or your lower price stacks, elsewhere. But this is a really good spot, both at 5-on-5 and on the power play for this line. And we have them as one of the, I think the best leverage spot on the entire slate by our top 2 stacks. So I really do like Colorado 1. If you want to drop down to Colorado 2, no problem there. I think Colorado 3 even is fine. If you wanted 2-man, like Newhook and Obe Kubel or Newhook and Logan O'Connor or something like that. Once you get down to that Montreal third pair and their third, fourth lines, like getting into that Dvorak-Anderson matchup or whatever, like there's just nothing to worry about. So, if you have super expensive stacks later on, I don't mind a 2-man from Montreal 3. But I think, or from Colorado 3, but I think most out of this game, I like Colorado 1. And then on the Montreal side, the thing that we talk about is Colorado's penalty kill is actually pretty bad. I just talked about how bad Montreal's is. Colorado's is worse, believe it or not. They have like a bottom 5 or bottom 6 penalty kill in the league. So if you want a 2-man like a Dvorak-Anderson, I think something like that is perfectly fine here. I'm just not super excited on Montreal. Like they're in my mix for fillers, but they're not at the top of my priority list for fillers. So Colorado 1, definitely maybe a 2-man of Dvorak-Anderson, something like that from Montreal, and maybe a 2-man from Colorado 3. That's where I'm looking.
Yeah, if you put in Colorado 1 plus Makar on DK right now, you have $3,560 remaining for 4 roster spots plus a goalie. So that's going to be really tough to get to. I'm going to try to see if I can fit that in, but you're going to have to probably end up leaving someone off more often than not, unless you're getting down in some third and fourth lines. So that's where you're seeing the huge leverage score on our top stacks tool. Highest leverage on the slate. You nailed it, Cliffy, 17.8%. The next highest is Boston. Boston won at 13.1%. So some distance for Colorado 1 between the rest of the stacks, but they're really expensive to fit in. I like Montreal 1. The problem is just the ownership, like over 10% right now on a 10-game slate. It is still Colorado. I know they got crushed last night, but Montreal 1 is not Toronto 1. They have been really good. So I think I'll end up probably underweight if their ownership sticks around where they're at right now. Not a whole lot else I'm looking at in this game. Maybe some, not even some Ben Sherratt, 4,200. His price has come up a little bit. He's going to play a bunch of minutes. Him and Savard, I think, are both okay. Maybe for some block shots and some peripheral stuff. But that is really about it. Anyone on the blue line on the Avs or Canadians here?
Yeah, I do like Gerard, 3,600. Like, I think he's not a great puck mover, but a pretty good puck mover. And at that price, in this matchup, you don't want to pay $8K for Makar. I think that's perfectly fine. Obviously, David Savard for Montreal. We talk about Chris Russell and his potential block bonus. I think David Savard is definitely in line for 1 here tonight. So him as well. And I'll just mention Arturi Lehkonen as a one-off for Montreal. They'll get that Colorado 2 matchup, and that line hasn't looked very good defensively. So don't mind Lehkonen as a one-off.
My friend Clayton says, if you continue your association with Yahoo next year, you may want to include projections. Yeah, we're going to try to do that. Right now, I use the FanDuel projections for Yahoo, and shout out to Yahoo. They're sponsoring the show. As you guys know, Yahoo is very, very good to us. You see the offer in the top right, 1 month of Awesemo Plus Platinum with your first deposit and paid contest entry for new Yahoo users. So I don't know how you haven't taken advantage of that if you haven't played on Yahoo yet. But if you somehow haven't, you've been watching our show, and today's the day, I would go take advantage of that because that's a really good offer. But back to projections really quick for Yahoo. I use the FanDuel ones. I would say it's not perfect, but it's going to get you close enough. based on their scoring. And then what I would do is if you're building lineups in Fantasy Cruncher, I would just make a rule that you don't play forwards or defensemen against guys from the opposing team. And you can do that really easy in Fantasy Cruncher. Just pay attention to that because of the plus minus there. You don't want to have a negative correlation with like game stacks and things like that. And it's really, really easy to do or really, really easy to avoid on a big slate like this. On smaller slates, you might forget if you're hand building, but that's why I like to build on Fantasy Cruncher with my Yahoo lineups. I play there pretty much every night for NHL. Pretty good contests. I think it's my highest ROI of any site so far this season, and not as many top players playing over there, I've noticed. So a bunch of Awesemo people, but other than that, I think there's definitely some money to be won. St. Louis and Tampa Bay, we got a 2.5 implied total for the Blues, 3 for the Lightning. Billy Husso and Andrei Vasilevsky are your starters here. I don't have a ton on this game, Cliffy, to be honest. Good numbers for both of the Blues' top lines. Gabriel, I'm guessing it's Fortier. Fortier, is he French? All right. He's slotting in the second line, but he only played, I think he played under 10 minutes in the last game with Chiarelli and Killorn. Stamkos back with Palat and Barre Boulet. I don't know. I mean, not a whole lot I like. Maybe you could talk me into something here.
No, I agree with you. Neither team really takes a lot of penalties. Neither team in the top 10 by time shorthanded this year. And Tampa Bay has a really good penalty kill. So, Tampa Bay doesn't take a lot of penalties and has a really good penalty kill. That kind of takes at least the top line out of play for me. O'Reilly, Shen, Kyrou. Like the reason to play O'Reilly especially is power play. That's where a lot of his value is derived. This is a bad power play matchup for them, so I'm off the top line. Buchnevich, Thomas, Tarasenko is interesting to me. 3.3 expected goals per 60 minutes together this year. That's just absolutely absurd. And the second, Josh and I have talked about it on the show recently. The second power play unit for St. Louis has been good. So I think, if the Blues power play can come through tonight, it's, the Buchnevich Kyrou unit. It's not the O'Reilly Shen unit. So, if you want to do just a Buch one-off, I think is fine here tonight, but I'm not super excited about St. Louis. I probably won't be playing them in my 1-3s. On the Tampa side, it's about the same thing. Cause like I said, St. Louis doesn't take a ton of penalties and that second line is legitimately great. So you have maybe the top line that you can attack, but then you're saying, okay, I want to attack Ryan O'Reilly. And that just feels bad to me. It feels like a bad play. So I think this is a game where I'm going to be one-offing some players, one-off Buchnevich, one-off, an ABB, Alex Barré-Boulet, if you want to do something like that. But I don't see myself 3-man stacking either of the lines on each side here. I just don't think it's a very good special teams matchup for either team.
Yeah. I mean, you nailed it. Like St. Louis 2, really, really good numbers at 5-on-5. I'm not convinced it's going to be a good 5-on-5 matchup, no matter which line they go up against for Tampa. Maybe not the offensive juggernaut that they've been in previous years, but still very sound defensively. So St. Louis 2 is really the only line that I wrote down in this game, just because, they're good enough at 5-on-5 that they can get it done against anybody. Their ownership's low. Their price is reasonable, but really low total and not really a phenomenal matchup. So I'm good to get out of this one. Do you have any other takes? Goalie?
Yeah, no, nothing here for me.
All right, let's go to Buffalo and Florida. We've got a 2.2 implied total for the Sabres, 3.8 for the Panthers. Tokarski and Bobrovsky expected. Well, Bobrovsky's confirmed, and he's also confirmed $8,600 on DraftKings. Yikes. That is very, very spendy. Nothing much on the Buffalo side. Verhaeghe up on the top line with Bennett and Huberdeau. That seems like one that we're going to like, huh, Cliffy?
Yeah, I really, really like that top line. We've talked about Bennett and Huberdeau like pretty much every slate that they've been on ever since the Sam Bennett trade last year. So I don't think we have to dive too deep into Bennett and Huberdeau. Their offensive numbers this year have been really, really good. Now, a lot of those minutes have been played with Owen Tippett, but at the same time, they're still generating 2.7 goals per 60 minute, 4.5 goals per 60 minutes. Like, this is just a very good offensive line. And adding Carter Verhaeghe, I actually went and looked. Like, I like to look at shot rates and primary assist rates and where they intersect, because that kind of tells me, can a player shoot and pass and, like, you know, kind of do everything offensively. And a guy by the name of Corey Snaster on Twitter, he tracks the games, and he found that Carter Verhaeghe has a very similar shot and passing profile to Philip Forsberg. And that's, you know, this is going back a couple of years now. His high danger passes, his shot locations, everything is very reminiscent of Philip Forsberg. And I am very, very high on Carter Verhaeghe. I don't know if he is Philip Forsberg, but if he's 85% of that, that makes it a great top line. I really, really do like that Florida top line here tonight. I can't possibly foresee Verhaeghe dragging them down in any regard. I would just watch for ownership. You know, we do talk about, I just want to mention them. They are coming in just under 20% by their top stacks tool on a 10-game slate. That is high. But, you know, Buffalo's penalty kill, absolutely nothing right home about, flirting with the bottom 10. These guys aren't perfectly correlated on the top power play unit, but it doesn't really matter. Bennett and Huberdeau and Verhaeghe, I love them in this game. I think you can even dump down. I know I might catch some flack for this, but Thornton and Tippett. I know people might not be too excited to play Jumbo Joe Thornton, but they are their numbers together this year have been pretty good, generating about, I think it was 29 scoring chances per 60 minutes as a line. And that Buffalo bottom six, like, they're just going to steamroll them. So I don't mind, you know, if you want to just one-off Tippett, I think that's fine too. Like, you don't have to play Joe Thornton here tonight. I'm not recommending everybody go play Joe Thornton. I'm just saying I think that line is in a great spot, and I really do like Owen Tippett. But if Florida won the most for me, nothing from the Buffalo side.
So I watch our show on YouTube, like on the other screen, to like make sure we're still live. I've been doing this forever. And I guess there's subtitles now that like automatically populate. And when I was just looking over at yours, it said, when you were talking, it said banned in Cuba. So I don't know really what you were saying there, because I got a little bit distracted, but that's what YouTube, the algorithm picked up. And I'm sure they're going to pick it up again because I just said it again. So some interesting stuff you can find in these subtitles. I've never seen this on YouTube. Is this a new feature? Do you watch a lot of YouTube?
I've seen subtitles on, like, you know, you can turn them on and off, toggle them on and off. I haven't seen them auto populate on a live show before.
Neither have I. Yeah, so I'm a little bit rattled over here. But anyways, back to Florida one. Yeah, they're popular. They're well warranted. 3.8 total. They like this top line being stacked up like this, and I love Verhaeghe too. So I'm gonna be trying to get in as much Florida one as what makes sense for like my portfolio, but I don't think I'm going to get to 20%. I hope they come down in ownership so I can get closer to that 20% number. I'd like to have them as my highest owned stack tonight, but right now I don't think that's going to be the case. One other one in particular I think is going to be getting me away from Florida one a little bit, but yeah, they're a great play. I don't know that there's a ton I need to add to that. Anything on the Buffalo side?
No, there's nothing for me. Like, I guess if you want to play, you know, if you want to get into the defenseman and play like that Robert Haig, hoping for a shot block bonus or something like that, because Florida's going to shoot a lot here tonight. So, you know, Robert Haig block bonus or something like that, that's fine. But I'm not paying up $5K for Rasmus Dahlin or something.
I noticed Middlestad's back. Is this his first game back? 4,500. We haven't heard from him since maybe the last time me and you did the show together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I think you're right.
Yeah. They said he's gonna be out for like a week or two, and man, it's been like 6 or 7 weeks. So not sure what was going on there. Ekblad, one of my favorite defensemen, 7,300. Would you play Ekblad without playing Florida one because of their pricing? This is like the John Carlson thing, and that's another one that we're going to talk about in the next game. But playing a high price defenseman with a high price stack that he's heavily correlated to, like, do you have a problem playing Ekblad as a one-off for this price and not playing Florida one in that lineup?
No, I don't mind. I used to mind that a lot. I don't mind that for this reason. It's that Aaron Ekblad shoots, right? 3 shots per game or something like that. he can, he can go out and get a couple of assists with a shot bonus. This team went 3-1 and, he smashes and the team does, and, the rest of the lineup does nothing. So as long as the one-off defenseman can shoot, as long as he's not Rasmus Anderson in Calgary, like, I don't know, 1.3 shots per game or whatever, as long as the defenseman shoots, I think it's a fine one-off.
Okay, cool. Because that's how I ran my stacks, my lineups first time through right before the show. And I think I'm okay with it as well, even at the high price ownership. He's one of my favorite guys, even if you take out 4-1. Let's go to Chicago and Washington. We got a 2.5 implied total for the Hawks, 3.5 for the Caps. Fleury, Vanacek, two of my least favorite teams for DFS. I cannot stand either one of these two. Got a top line that's got Ovi, Kuznetsov. They're going to play a lot of minutes, but they stink at 5-on-5 in terms of generating quality chances. Although, do you really need that high of a quality chance? You got Ovechkin. So a lot of confounding variables with this Caps team. They're just a big headache for a data person like me, a data nerd, some might call me. Do you like anything in this game at all?
So here's the thing. Since Jeremy Colleton got fired for Chicago, all I've been hearing is about how Chicago's been getting better defensively. 46% shot share and 46% share of the scoring chances since Jeremy Colleton got fired. But you'll never guess this. They're getting like 960 goaltending. So like they're not any better defensively. In fact, I think you could make an argument that this team is worse since Colleton. It's just that their goalies are standing on their head. So there's nothing that concerns me about Chicago from a matchup concern. I know what you mean about that Washington top line not projecting well. In fact, since they put Alexei Protas there, I think it's Protas, their numbers have declined offensively. Shot rate, expected goals, everything has come down. So I think this might be a case where Washington 2 makes some sense to me here. Wilson and Eller, Tom Wilson and Lars Eller this year, 62 shot attempts per 60 minutes, 33 scoring chances per 60 minutes, controlling 52% of the scoring chances. And they're going to see the second and third lines from Chicago here tonight. We talk about dumping down in high total games to avoid a lot of ownership. It seems like that's, this is a good spot to do it. I get that people don't want to play Lars Eller. That's not a sexy name to slam in at center. But like I said, him and Wilson have been playing very well together. And over the last month, the other winger, Daniel Sprong, leads this team in shot rate. He's shooting more than Alex Ovechkin over the last month on a per minute basis. So I kind of like this Washington 2 line here tonight as one of my filler lines.
Do you think Sprong's going to play enough minutes to, like, is he going to stick around there? Or is this going to be like a 9-minute Sprong game? That was the thing I was worried about with Washington 2.
See, here's the thing is, like, I don't think that Leeson Malenstein line is going to play much. And, Ovechkin and Kuznetsov are probably going to play like 23, 24 minutes. So I think like the middle six are going to be somewhere all between like 13 and 17. Yeah. I mean, maybe he plays 13 minutes tonight, but that's why I'm talking about 2-man stacking guys that are 6,300 total. These guys aren't 5K a piece. There's a reason why they're so cheap. But, like I said, if Daniel Sprong, if he plays 14, 15 minutes, could do well here tonight. So I like that Washington 2 as a filler stack. On the Chicago side, man, like, I don't know what they're doing with their lineups. Dominic Kubalik down on the third line. Like, I think Kubalik and Borgstrom make sense as a 2-man. Borgstrom's actually been shooting a fair bit over the last month or so for Chicago on his own. So I think Borgstrom, Kubalik, down the lineup makes sense, but I'm not playing any of the big guns from the Blackhawks here tonight.
I think I'm out on the Hawks, at least right now. I don't know what would change that for me. I'm usually out on them on big slates. Whatever Washington one I get to, which right now, the slate started right now, I'd have about 8% Washington one. I think that's all right. Not a line I often get overweight to just because of their 5-on-5 numbers. And I'm with you on some Washington too. So that's going to be the line that I think I would rather go off in this Washington game, but I'm going to have some bullets remaining with this Washington one just because of the high total, because they're fully correlated, all that stuff that you guys know. And then Carlson, I think I would only play in Washington 1 stacks. His price has come down a little bit, 6,400, but I would still prefer to just play him in Washington 1 stacks only. Anything else on this one?
No, that's it for me here.
All right. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, guys, we we partnered with Yahoo Fantasy this NHL season. We've got one huge offer. There's been a bunch of offers along the way, but right now you can get a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum when you sign up as your first time on Yahoo Fantasy. They've got good contests, not only for NHL, but if you play NBA, I think they got 10K to first most nights over there, if you like MMEing. If you play NFL, they've got a Thursday, what do they call it? 100K baller tonight, TNF baller. $100,000 baller. And we've got tools for NFL and NBA over there for Yahoo. If you need access and, if you're signing up on Yahoo through us and you're trying to redeem this free month and need access immediately, email support@awesemo.com. We can get you set up over there very quickly. But all you got to do is sign up via the link in the description, deposit, and then play on Yahoo. It's super simple. If you haven't taken advantage just yet, I don't know why you haven't, but you can also claim a free $10 of site credit by clicking that link. So we're just giving away free money. Yahoo's giving away money. They're doing guaranteed overlay stuff like every single week for NFL. Like, I am an NFL fish, and I've made money playing on Yahoo NFL just because they're having no management fee tournaments. They're having guaranteed overlay. Like, they're really trying to make it work. And so I'm a big fan of Yahoo. They're obviously a big fan of Awesemo.com. So it's been a great partnership, and we want you guys to go support them, please. Ottawa and Carolina, we've got a 2.1 implied total for the Sens, 3.9 for the Canes. Another huge home favorite with a top line that's going to generate some interest. Highest owned stack on the slate is Carolina 1. Forsberg starting for the Sens. Ranta for the Canes. Bunch of backups going tonight as well is another trend I'm seeing. Carolina 1, not very expensive because Netchus is 3,800, fully correlated with his other line mates, Sebastian Aho, the good one, and Andrei Svechnikov. What are you doing with Carolina 1 here?
I don't know. Slam him in as fast as I can. Like, I don't want to seem too excited to play a line, especially a line that's obviously going to probably be the highest owned line on the slate. But here's the thing. We talked about, Josh and I yesterday on the show talked about Ottawa and their numbers since return. Like, their numbers before the COVID shutdown were awful. They were a bottom 5 defensive team before the COVID shutdown. Since the COVID shutdown, 63 shot attempts against per 60, 41% shot share, 39% scoring chance share. They're getting under 40% of the scoring chances. Like, this is an AHL team. And I hate to, slam them like this because it's like, this isn't really their fault. I honestly believe that. I just think, this is a health issue for them. It's just that it's not going to get better, at least not, tonight. So I don't see any reason not to play Carolina. It's just, what are you going to play on the Carolina side? Carolina 1 doesn't have a sample together, like not a meaningful sample going back years anyways, because Necas and, Svechnikov rarely played with Aho. Necas was down with Trocheck or down on the third line or what have you. So not a big sample here, but I don't think not having a sample matters. Like, Aho and Svechnikov have been elite together. I know, like, Aho and Necas really haven't been good in their sample, but I can't imagine Necas is going to sink this line in this matchup here tonight. The only thing is, like, we do have I should mention, Ottawa's penalty kill is awful. I think that should probably go without saying. The only thing here is, what do you do with the stacking? Because obviously they're going to be super popular. Like, I think this is, Josh stacking is definitely in play here. I never say that on a 10-game slate because I think there are far too many spots. But at the very least, I think, 5-man stacking the power play is certainly in play here. I think Josh stacking is certainly in play here. If I had to pick one of the depth lines, I honestly think I might just dump all the way down to Kotkaniemi and Niederreiter. I know they're listed as the 4th line, but they don't play 9 minutes a game. They're actually playing like 13 minutes a game. So they're not a true 4th line. They're like a pseudo 3rd line almost. So Kotkaniemi and Niederreiter, both on the second power play unit together. I talked about Ottawa's bad penalty kill. And if this game is a blowout, if they do get up like 3-0 or 4-0 in the first period, the depth guys are going to play more down the stretch anyway. You're not going to give Sebastian Aho 23 minutes in a 7-0 game. So I do think, going down the lineup makes sense. Kotkaniemi, Niederreiter makes sense to me, but really anything on Carolina here makes sense to me.
Yeah. I'm really worried about fading Carolina 1 and like higher stakes stuff. I know they're going to be popular, but I think this is arguably the best spot of the night. Them and Florida 1, I think. Maybe Dallas 1 we'll talk about later. But I'm going to try to get some exposure and some higher stakes stuff to Carolina 1, even with the condensed ownership. Like, this just really makes me worried at this price. Like, you're higher chance of being duped with Carolina 1, but you can always not correlate your goalie or not correlate both like your defenseman or something like that. Like, there's ways to get different. It's a 10-game slate, especially in higher stakes stuff. You can find a unique stack, like a 300-man field. So that's really the only thing I'm worried about with Carolina. I'm not in love with their lines, but like Trocheck, Jarvis, 2-man. You mentioned the full 5-man power play stack. Got a lot of interest in that. I don't think Aho, Teravainen, Svechnikov, and Netchus all together is going to be very popular at all. I think that's probably still going underutilized, the full 5-man power play stack. Problem is no defenseman. So you're going to have like 2 one-off defensemen. Are they still going with 5 forwards on the power play?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, that's a little bit of a problem, but you can always throw in a defenseman that you like if you want to go with like cheap Ian Cole or Brady Shea. That's fine. They're going to play with all those guys at 5-on-5 as well. Nothing much going for me on the Ottawa side. I would have some interest if it was Philip Gustafsson, but Forsberg in that, even at 6,600. I don't even know that he's going to, like, the volume he's going to see is probably going to be pretty quality volume. So that's what I'm worried about here.
I mean, we did just see Vemelka, right? From Arizona the other night.
You did.
So, like, it could be that, it's a very small chance, but if I'm playing 150 lineups or even 20, I definitely get him in.
I mean, maybe I dismissed Forsberg a little bit too much. I'm actually going to, let me do a control F here. Did I get any of him? No, that's Philip Forsberg. Now, I got 0 Forsberg. What you could do is, I wouldn't suggest doing this, but like if you're building on FC, his median projection is going to be really low, but there is a range of outcomes, like where he scores like 25 or 30. So what you could do is either give him a thumbs up, manually boost his projection. I think that's an okay strategy to do with goalies that are going to see or expected to see a lot of volume, like Forsberg is. So it's scary for sure, but if you need a one-off guy and you're trying to slam in Colorado 1 plus Makar, a $6,600 goalie as a massive favorite isn't the worst way in the world to be unique in just one spot. Anything else here?
I mean, we got to play the Zoob, right? That guy's going to play 23 minutes and probably going to get hit by about 10 pucks.
Yeah, 3,400. He's not 5K anymore. We will allow the Zoob. Shout out to Josh Harris, who is busy today, guys. He's watching Mitch Marner highlights. He couldn't make the show today. San Jose and the New York Islanders, 2.5 implied total for the Sharks, 2.9 for the Isles. Aiden Hill, Ilya Sorokin expected to go. Boy, is this an ugly one, but there's one very, very pretty line, I guess. San Jose 1. Talk about them, Cliffy. We're seeing 3% ownership on DK for them right now. I am hitting the slam button.
Yeah, I just want to talk about the Islanders real quick, because talking about them will make it clear why this is a good idea to play San Jose tonight. The Islanders in their last four weeks, 25th by shot attempts, a worse shot share than the Montreal Canadiens, and they're allowing the second most scoring chances of any team in the league. Any team in the league, the second most scoring chances. They're getting some players back, but they're just getting them from the COVID protocol. Like, I don't know. Is it going to be better than what they had there? So, like, and even Josh Bailey, like I wrote about Josh Bailey a few weeks ago about how bad his season is. I don't think getting COVID is going to turn it around for him. So, like, yeah, I mean, I love San Jose 1 here tonight. They're absolutely one of my favorite lines on the entire slate. Like you said, coming in at 3%, it's a great matchup going into the Islanders. Very reasonably owned under 16K, fully correlated on the top power play unit. There won't be much ownership here because of the low total. I mean, maybe we get buried. It is a 2.5 total. That's not super high, but I just see this as a great matchup for the San Jose top line. So I love the San Jose top line here. That's probably it for me. Like maybe if there's a one-off Benino, if you need a cheap center or something like that, that would be fine. I don't think you have to play Brent Burns either. I would just play the 3-man San Jose top line.
All right. I really like San Jose one here. You mentioned all the numbers for the Isles. Like I can't really get behind any of their lines outside of I need 150 lineups, and they're at home and their totals close. How are they favored here? I don't even know San Jose's record.
I don't know why they're favored here. Like San Jose's not a very good team. Like they're maybe an average team. But they're 12-9-1. You know what I mean? Like they're in a playoff spot in the West, and the Islanders very well could be a lottery team this year. Like this is one of those situations. Like it's like last night. I didn't get the Rangers total, but I guess they got the 4 anyway. I don't get the Islanders here either.
Yeah, I'm a Sharks guy tonight. I love this line. I play them every single slate. I'm overweight on them. It's worked out so far. Their numbers have stabilized somewhat, but they're stabilizing to just like elite levels. So they're not getting 4 expected goals for per 60, but we can deal with like over 3 for sure on the road with a low total. Like I don't care about the low total. I think if the Sharks score 3 or more, you're going to see San Jose 1 getting involved. Timo, 7K. Like this guy should be 9K at this point. This guy's unreal. I mean, I don't know. I think we're still getting a discount on him. And then Dahlin and Couture, like the only thing with Dahlin is maybe the minutes aren't always there for him. But that's fine. 3,400 power play 1 on a great line, and he shoots. So I'm in on San Jose 1. Isles, just filler stacks for me. And if I'm getting a lot of them, I will end up limiting what I can get of them. Let's go to the Bruins and the Predators. 2.8 implied total for the Bruins, 2.6 for the Preds. Swayman and UC Saros are your expected goalies. Probably a pretty good real life matchup here. Maybe some fun hockey if you like grinded out games. Low totals. Philip Forsberg coming off a disappointing performance. He didn't get the shot bonus the other nights. Only got 4 goals on 4 shots. How will he follow this one up? I guess so. Just to be serious, like the line matching really matters in this one. It's not like the Coyle, Foligno, Craig Smith trio is, that's not an easy one to go into, but at least it's easier than Boston 1. How do you see the matchups playing out here, and then what do you want to do with your DFS lineups?
Yeah, I imagine Nashville just runs top line into top line, and that kind of takes me away from both top lines here. I will say I don't mind the Boston top line for this reason, is like Nashville takes a lot of penalties. Like I think they're 6th or 7th most in penalties taken this year. The penalty kill's fine. It's not, super elite or anything. And Boston's top line is perfectly correlated on the power play. Problem is, it's just, they're really expensive. Patrice Bergeron. By the way, should mention Patrice Bergeron is playing tonight. There was like a little bit of doubt about whether he was going to play. He is playing tonight. He's at 8,500. Pasternak's north of $9,000, and that's without Brad Marchand on the other side. Now, if you look at Boston 1's numbers over the years without Marchand, they're still good, but they score a lot less. Like they're still dominant defensively. They're still a dominant defensive line, but they just score a lot less often, which makes sense because Marchand, like his skill level's just through the roof. Like, maybe somebody could be a good defensive winger on that line, but you can't replace his skills. So it kind of takes me out from the Boston top line here. Like, I think I'd rather dump down to the Boston second line just because I don't like that Nashville second line whatsoever. Tolvin and Cunnin and Johansson, 45% shot share this year, only 48% of the scoring chances. I think Coyle and Smith make a perfectly fine 2-man here tonight going into that Nashville second line. So I think I'm off the top lines here for my lineups. I'll let you talk about those. Maybe you have a different take. For me, it's Coyle and Smith that I'm most interested in amongst the forwards.
I mean, if Nashville 1's going to be 2.5% owned like we have them right now, I'll take them and just hope that they don't see a large helping of Boston 1. Because their shot generation numbers are awesome. You can see their upside. Forsberg, a great goal scorer. Duchesne's been coming on. So if they're going to be priced like this, even with the low total, I'm fine with them because it's really the only line that I have any interest in on the Nashville side. And then Boston 1, same thing, like tough matchup potentially, but really low ownership. It's just kind of, if these ownerships stay where they're at right now on our late runs right before the slate starts, I'll have some of both. But it's not like I'm rushing to my computer to get in Nashville 1 against Boston. Like, I don't think it's a great matchup either way. I just think we've got two really great lines. Yossi 7,800, 6% ownership. Yeah, if you want to play with Nashville 1, go right ahead. I actually don't think, it's funny. My highest owned defenseman right now, I think, is Mackenzie Weegar. That's not gonna. We didn't really talk about him that much. I talked about Ekblad, but I really do like Weegar as well.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to diss my boy Yossi by comparing him to Weegar, but if you need a cheaper guy like that, go right ahead. 7,800 for Yossi. It's okay. Again, not rushing to my computer like I am most nights to jam him in, but I'll have my few shares of him. And then, that's about it. Both goalies reasonably priced. You like Saros here at 7,500?
Yeah, I do. He should get a decent amount of volume here. Should mention that Nick Foligno got yeeted off Boston too. It's Eric Holla that's there now. And literally anybody but Nick Foligno is better. So I'm kind of more excited to play Boston too now.
Excellent use of yeeted. I think that might be a first on the NHL Strategy Show. If not, it's the first that I've had that I've heard it on here. Devils, Minnesota Wild, 2.6 implied total for the Devils, 3.4 for the Wild. There's 3 games remaining, including this one. So we'll try to keep this one relatively short. Blackwood, Kakinen. I really love Minnesota 1. I'm assuming you're going to like Minnesota 1 as well, but they're really, really expensive. It is a high total. So you think you get to more than the field of Wild 1 here?
Yeah, absolutely. Minnesota's top line, Hartman, Kirill Kaprizov, and Matt Zuccarello just absolutely obliterating the opposition. 60% shot share, 59% of the scoring chances, 4.4 goals per 60 minutes in a 130-minute sample. And New Jersey's one of the most penalized teams in hockey. Like, this is just Minnesota doesn't send them out versus opposing top lines. So they'll go out versus the second and third lines from New Jersey, which very good offensive lines, but those lines like to trade chances. They can be had defensively. So I absolutely love Minnesota 1 here tonight. If Josh was here, he would be railing about the Minnesota power play, which is bad. But you do get Kaprizov and Zuccarello on the top PP unit together. And like I said, New Jersey, one of the most penalized teams in the NHL. So I think it's perfectly fine to use Minnesota. On the New Jersey side, like, I'm going to say it again, I'm kind of interested in that New Jersey second line. They have really, really good numbers together all year. It seems like we talk about them almost every show that they're on. But 74 shot attempts per 60 minutes this year, scoring 5.3 goals per 60 minutes. They've just been great. And they'll get the non-checking lines from Minnesota. So they'll go into the scoring lines, but at least they'll go into lines that aren't, some of the best defensive lines in hockey. So I think if, 20 max 150, if you want to get a super low owned, filler stack on the road, that should see a fair amount of power play minutes, because Minnesota takes a lot of penalties as well. I do like New Jersey 2 as a filler stack tonight, but Minnesota 1 for me out of this game. I love that Kaprizov line. They're one of my favorite lines on the whole slate.
Yep, you nailed exactly where I'm at as well. Minnesota 1, love them, circled them on my sheet here, and New Jersey 2. If they're going to be anywhere close, even like under 4 or 5%, I think they're a slam as well, at least as a filler stack. Just unreal numbers at 5-on-5, and they're sticking together. And they're not going to get the Eriksson Foligno Greenway line, which you definitely do not want to see when Minnesota's at home. All right, we had a bunch of winners last night. Zeekster with the quarter arcade takedown, Bots 2K winner, a bunch of other Awesemo community guys taking down some good prizes. If you guys want to be part of the Awesemo Hall of Fame, there's a couple steps to do so. You download the Awesemo avatar at awesemo.com/avatar, place in the top 3 of a contest with 5,000 or more contestants. You tweet the wins to us at the Awesemo Hall of Fame account, and then you win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. It's pretty cool. You win the tournament, or you get top 3 in the tournament, you get a nice payout, and you get a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. All you got to do is a few simple steps. Some of our previous winners, or our recent winners, BLKSME __1, quite the username, took down a bunch of nice prizes here for NBA. A lot of NBA ones on this version of the Hall of Fame. We've got Eric Dickin, who took down $4,000 in NBA as well. We've got Dre Bev, who took down looks like NBA as well. Huge scores, over 400 points over on FanDuel. And then Corey Santos, over $5,000 off of $81. Wow, that's pretty good ROI. Jordan Weber took down $1,000, top 3 in the NBA 22K zone on DK. So if you want to get part of the Awesemo Hall of Fame, follow those directions, and you'll win a free month. Get to hang out with us in Discord and see all of our premium stuff behind the paywall. Blue Jackets Stars, 2.4 implied total here for the Jackets, 3.1 for the Stars. We don't know who's going for the Jackets. They have a mess. Merzlikins and Korpisalo both maybe unavailable for tonight. I'm slamming Dallas 1. Do you have anything else besides Dallas 1 in this game that you like, Cliffy?
No, not particularly. And I don't even here we go again. I don't even really like Dallas 1 that much here tonight. And I don't want to say that because the last time I said that, Rope had scored a hat trick. But I just don't really like Dallas 1 here tonight. And the reason is this, is Columbus doesn't take a lot of penalties. I think they're about middle of the league, and they have a pretty good penalty kill, like top 10 in hockey. And, you know, Dallas won not a lot, but some of their value is derived from the fact that they're perfectly correlated. It's just like, they're so cheap. I have a hard time getting away from them because it is a good matchup going into the Columbus top line, right? Or into the Columbus second and third line. Sorry. They won't be seeing the Columbus top line. When the Columbus top line is off the ice, Columbus only controls 47% of the scoring chances. They're not a good team, you know, in their second and third line. So I think, you know, I'm not going to begrudge anybody for playing Dallas 1. Go ahead. For me, I'm still more of a Gurianov one-off guy here for me.
Yeah, Mike, our producer in chat, says 125 here and 60 likes. We got to bump that up a little bit, at least get a 60% ratio or so. Just Dallas 1 for me, I think. I can't really get behind full stacking Dallas 2 or Dallas 3. If you want to play Columbus 1, just because of the awesome 5-on-5 numbers, I'm okay with that as well. But this is a Dallas 1 game for me. Maybe some Etzel Lindell for 3,600 on the blue line. We've got one final game, and then we're going to do hat tricks and then any goalies that we want to mention very quickly. Calgary and the LA Kings, 3 implied total for the Flames, 2.3 for the Kings. Markstrom, Cal Pete expected to go for the Kings. What do you like here, Cliffy?
Well, I'm out on Los Angeles entirely. The top line, going into the top line for Calgary, like Kopitar without Arvidsson just hasn't looked as good this year. So out on the top line. Normally I'd be in on the second line for Los Angeles because, you know, Dano and Iafallo have been really, really good this year. But they're going into the second line from Calgary. And Calgary's second line, they might be the best checking line in hockey. We'll have to see. They're certainly, amongst a handful. So out on Los Angeles here tonight, I think Calgary 1 makes a nice little contrarian stack. Like if you're super worried about playing super chalk Caroliners or super chalk Florida or something like that, I think Calgary 1 coming in at low ownership in what is a better matchup than it appears is just fine here tonight. I also like a 2-man Mangiapane Backlund. They have really good numbers together.
Yeah, you read my mind. We're on the same wavelength today. Calgary 1 was my most interested line in this game. Really low total. On the Kings side, we love Kings 2, but you mentioned the matchup against the Backlund line. That's really, really tough. So that's pretty much all I've got here. Can I hear your hat trick pick, Mr. Clifford?
Yeah, we are going with slamming Sammy Bennett as my hat trick pick here tonight.
I've got Timo Meier.
I like it.
There we go. 3% Timo Meier. Consider yourselves warned. Sammy Bennett Timo Meyer. A bunch of shows coming up on after this. If you guys want to stick around the channel, NFL, NBA, we've got everything covered. Thanks for joining us. And Cliffy and Josh will be back tomorrow for another nice slate.